thanks everyone for coming. Feel free to record this if you'd like. And also it will be on YouTube on the House of Rags channel Saturday night at 5 o'clock. So if you don't want to take notes, just listen, go ahead. Ask questions, please. That's why I'm here, is to answer questions. But the goal of this presentation is, what do we do beyond detailing? Detailing is great, and it's something that's fun. It's something that generates great income, but sometimes we need other income sources, especially those of us that live in a northern climate. In the winter, people are not necessarily getting their car ceramic coated and polished and all that fun stuff. So we need to find other sources of income. Sylvie and I in our shops, we were a one-stop shop. We had everything from detailing to PDR to windshield replacement, repair, leather repair, the whole gamut. If it could be done to a car other than undercoating and mechanical work, we did it. And that was by design. That was something that was really enjoyed by our customers, especially the wholesale or the dealership world, because it allowed them to bring the car to one spot, or if they were buying it at auction, they would drop it off from the auction at our place, then we'd bring it to them afterwards. But that allowed them to have everything done in one place and have the car frontline ready when it got to their lot. So a lot of detailers are afraid to do wholesale work. They think that wholesale work is, dealers are going to try to negotiate them down to an absurd price. That's really not true. Dealerships are willing to pay if you provide quality service and in a timely manner. So that they're looking for three things. They're looking for quality, they're looking for service, they're looking for price. If you have two of the three, they really don't care about the third. So if you have reasonable price, if you have great quality and a good turnaround time, they really don't care about the price at that point. Of course, you're not going to charge $500 for a $50 job, but we charge the same retail that we did wholesale. But in that, the other services that we offered, we actually started our business doing mobile windshield repair. And we added services as we went. We developed a franchise model off of it and then worked from there. The one thing that any of you can offer very easily is windshield repair. It's an inexpensive kit. It's something that's easy to do. And depending on what state you're in or province or wherever you're from, some states or some insurance companies pay for it, some don't. Some customers don't want their insurance tagged by having a windshield repair, because for many insurance companies, a windshield repair and a complete loss just shows up as a claim. And your customer, at that point, their insurance now goes up because of that claim. When they're shopping around for another insurance, the insurance doesn't know what the claim was for, they just know they had a claim. And that's what they go off of. So a lot of people prefer to pay, out of pocket for a windshield repair. It's something that takes 15 or 20 minutes. You can easily charge $95, $100 for it. So it's a good service to add. And if you look at the cars coming into your shop, or if you're a mobile technician, same thing. Just take a little survey of the cars, what you're doing, and you'll see that there's a lot of them that need a windshield repair at some point. So that's an easy one to do. Paint touch-up. Paint touch-up is very, very profitable. It's very easy to do, but you have to take off your detailer's hat and put on a touch-up person's hat. Paint touch-up is not about being perfect. It's not the Larry Casilla touch-up where he fills it with paint and then clear coat and then wet sands it and tries to make it disappear. Most people don't care about that level of paint touch-up. You're just, preventing rust, so you're filling in the chip. But one area where a lot of people go wrong is overfilling the chip. If you underfill the chip, it basically disappears. So you make a little crater that just has a bit of paint in it. If you overfill it, it looks like a wart and it stands out. So paint touch-up is something that we did a lot of. We actually developed our own system for paint touch-up to go with water-based paint, because in Canada we don't have solvent-based paints. You guys have solvent-based paints, makes it easier. There's Dr. Color Chip, there's a lot of different ones. Dr. Color Chip has been a supporter of MTE for 20 years. As long as I've been coming here, he's been here. So they have a system that works, it's easy, it's simple, and you don't have to have a perfect color match. And that's where a lot of people go awry, is they try to get that perfect color match. If it looks good from 3 to 4 feet away, the customer's happy. So for us, we had 20 stock colors that we kept, and we did 80% of cars with those 20 stock colors. You know, we had 3 or 4 silvers, a black, 2 or 3 whites, because white is actually the one that has the most variance. And then, you know, a dark blue, a light blue, a red, burgundy, and you can fill in a lot of chips with that. Paint touch-up, like I said, very profitable, and it's something that ties in very easily to detailing. So we're detailing the car, you're going to be polishing it, you're going to be doing ceramic coating on it, and there's these 4 chips on the hood. What do we do with it? So adding that in, it's a nice add-on service. The other one that was a big moneymaker for us was truck bed liners. And truck bed liners, if you look at the Rhino lining or Line X, they require a lot of equipment and a lot of space and a lot of upfront cost. You can use something like Raptor lining or rocket lining from SEM that you just need a compressor and the overspray is minimal. We normally did 2 or 3 per day in our shop, and the way we do it is we would prep the car during the day or the truck during the day. At the end of the day, tape it up, shoot it, close the doors, go home. Next morning, take the film off the outside of the vehicle, the masking, and it was ready to deliver to the customer. And most of our customers for bed lining were dealerships. The dealerships don't like dealing with Line X and the other Rhino lining because they go gray after a certain number of years. So you have a black bed liner, they go gray. Raptor liner and rocket lining from SEM do not go, they're UV stable. And they look like the OEM. So they're a thin coating. They're not a 1/4 inch thick rubber coating like Line X and the other one. No, they don't protect as well. But they're equivalent to the OEM. So the OEM uses basically the same product as the rocket liner. If you get a Ford bed liner, that's what it is. Yes?
Is that the same thing you used on the exterior bus?
Yeah, it is. So if you'd like to see what the finish looks like, there's a big red and black bus out there. You can have a look. But it's very easy. It's something that's easy to do. You just need a good compressor. The gun actually comes with the kit, so you have got no equipment to buy. And what we did in our shops, we put a tarp on the floor. So a standard tarp, roll it out, roll the truck onto the tarp. The overspray is very heavy, so it doesn't travel far. It just drops down. And the prep was 45 minutes to an hour. Shooting it was maybe half an hour, and we charged $350 and had maybe $75, $80 in material.
Do you have any special exhaust fans or anything in your shop to do it?
No.
You just open the door and let it?
No, we didn't even open the door. Like I said, the off-gassing of it is very low to begin with. And an hour later you're good. You know, wear a good mask, obviously, and full PPE. You need to be fully covered. But other than that, it's a good addition for most shops if you have a shop big enough that you can store a vehicle overnight and it's not going to hurt the other vehicles that are there. We did it in our wash bay. So we just used our wash bay as our shooting bay at the end of the day. Our wash bay was big enough to put 3 full-size trucks in. So we would, days we only had 1, we just do 1. If we had 2, 3, we just line them up and shoot them at the same time. So that is something, again, low cost of entry. Same thing with windshield repair. Windshield repair, by the way, go on eBay, go on Facebook Marketplace, and look for a kit there. Because a lot of people, the windshield repair industry, they go after low-hanging fruit. So you buy this $1,000 kit and you'll make $90,000 a year. That's their pitch. But they don't give any marketing. They don't do any of that. So a lot of people buy this kit and end up not doing anything with it, and then you can find them for $150, $200. You just have to get new liquid for it, new resins, and you're good to go. My preferred kit is Glass Mechanics. There's Delta Kits, which actually owns Glass Mechanics, but they're a different one. There's GT Glass as well, but Glass Mechanics is the easiest to use and has the most versatility. You don't need ones with electric pumps and all sorts of strange things. Just keep it to a basic kit. You have it in your shop, it's easy to do. Paint touch-up as well. If you have a good body shop supply close by, they can mix you up little 1-ounce bottles of touch-up paint, get your 20 basic colors, and then if you have a specialty, go from there. If you're in Canada, any Canadians here other than me and Sylvie? Okay, so in Canada, there's a company called Genie Color, G-E-N-I-C-O-L-O-R. They have perfect match touch-up pens that are the equivalent to the old 0.5 millimeter click pencils. That's the size of the tip that's on it. And it's just a great system. And if you sign up as a wholesale, you get the pens for $19, and the retail for them is $30. So you can actually have your customer order it, they keep it in their car, and then you do the touch-up for the customer. Or at the end of the job, you give them the pen, include the pen cost in the thing and go from there. And it's a lot faster than using a system like Dr. ColorJet.
And they're based right out of Canada?
They're in Quebec, yeah. Okay. But they ship Canada-wide. So, and normally it's like 2 to 3 days. So if you know the color code of the cars that's coming in, you can get that. And they have a kit of, I think it's 30 pens that will cover like 90% of cars. So, yeah. They might ship to the US, I'm not sure, but it's GENICOLOR. Other services that you can offer, of course, PPF is a very popular one. Paint protection film, you're looking at about a $20,000 investment to start. By the time you get a plotter, training, film, you're into it for about $20,000. And then you have to license the software, etc. There is a learning curve to installing PPF. It's not for everyone. It takes patience, it takes time. Who here installs PPF? How long did it take you to become profitable in installing PPF?
Before I started making money like on that job, it was probably a year.
Yeah.
By the time I paid back all the money I spent in film that I wasted learning,
Yeah.
I was too stubborn to go to a class and learn.
Okay, yeah.
It was probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So PPF, like I say, is not for everyone. And it's a good market to get into. It ties in extremely well with detailing, but do get training. The training pays for itself very quickly. And it requires space. If you're a mobile detailer, forget it. You're not going to be doing PPF. But in a shop, you need almost a clean room if you can, and work from there. So there are limitations to PPF, but if you have the financial backing to do it, to be able to afford to not lose money, but invest for 1 year before you get good at it. And ideally, if you're installing PPF, have a dedicated employee just for that. If you're trying to detail and do PPF and run the business and this, that, and the other thing, unless you're installing PPF 40 hours a week, you're not really going to get efficient at it. You're going to be able to do it, but to be efficient and be profitable at it is a different thing. And a lot of detailers really like the idea of, I can charge my customers $2,000 to do this job. Yeah, that $2,000 job might take you a day and use $800 worth of film. Whereas you charge $1,500 to do a coating that takes 4 hours and you use $100 worth of product. So the profitability in coatings is a lot higher than in PPF, but the ticket price is a lot higher on PPF. And when you're into PPF, tint is the next logical thing to do. The tint market, depending on where you are, is normally very, very competitive, and you really have to set yourself apart. And how you set yourself apart is by offering all the other services that go with it. So someone's buying a new car, the tint is a good option because now they're buying a new car, they want that car tinted. While they're there for tinting, you can sell them a coating or PPF. And going after the new car market is obviously what we want to do. It requires less polishing, it requires less detailing, it just requires protection. So you're offering protective services, that's a good one. Interior repair, there's a number of companies that sell interior repair kits for detailing or for interior repair. That's something we did in-house, was interior repair. We went to a company called Vinyl Pro. They normally have a booth here. They're based out of Atlanta, and they don't sell their own products. They train on the SEM product system, and SEM is out of one of the Carolinas, I forget which one, but they're a employee-owned company. They make all their dyes, everything, and they have a very simple system for doing interior repair. Interior repair, 20 years ago was really big because of cigarette burns. Thankfully, a lot of people stopped smoking, so we're not getting the cigarette burns as much, but you still get wear, and if you're doing dealer cars, then interior repair becomes an important aspect of your business. That's why we took that in-house. There are some things that we offered, but we did it through a third party. And the biggest one for that was PDR. There's a lot of PDR techs, and there might be some in the room here. Yeah, back there. But there are a lot of PDR people here. You probably find one from where you are. PDR is something that takes a lot of skill, and it takes a lot of time to learn. And it's something that a good PDR tech can bang out a dent in 20, 30 minutes. And it's done. Yes, they'll charge you $100 for the dent. You can charge your customer $120, $140 for that same dent. You make a little bit of money. For us, our PDR tech was on call, but we had a fixed appointment with him. So every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Friday, he came to our shop. Because the dealerships actually preferred, they knew that we were hiring the same PDR tech that they were, but they preferred had it done in our shop because he wasn't taking up space in their shops. And they knew that they brought the car to us, they just got one invoice with the car, everything was done. And they were paying more for the PDR through us than they were to him, but they didn't care because of the convenience of it. So, do you give a wholesale discount when you're dealing with a detailer?
I would. I'm primary. I chase tail.
Okay.
So I have a retail shop and I'm growing an auto spot.
Yeah. So you're their competitor. Yeah.
Dances, but absolutely as a PDR tech, a lot of times I like the dance of not charging each other for upcharging, but as a shop owner making a small percentage.
Yeah.
PDR guys, and especially a quality one, will shave off 15 to 30%.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, and it's good for the PDR tech. Like for us, he had a standing appointment. He knew that he had work every time he came into our shop. So, and for him at that time, now he has a shop, but he was 100% mobile at the time. So if he had a retail customer, he would just send the retail customer to us. We would make the appointment. We would have the car. We had the heated or air-conditioned space for him to work in. He was happy. We were happy. The customer was happy.
Air conditioning's worth 15%.
It is, yeah. You know, any of you with a shop, air conditioning it's a big investment, but it's also your best investment when it comes to increasing your labor efficiency during the summer. People that are freezing, people that are too hot, just aren't happy workers. And even yourself, if you're just alone, just get a mini split, get something, but get the air conditioning in there. It does make a difference, and your products work better as well. When it comes to coatings, when it comes to polishes, anything. Any questions so far? No?
Good idea.
Yes, please.
Back to the touch-up paint. So when you're getting those 20 or 30 colors, how are you storing them, and what's your shelf life when you are storing them? Because we get them from our local paint place, but they'll go bad 6 months just being up
Yeah.
in the cabinet.
So if it's a solvent-based paint, which you're in the US, so it probably is, are they giving it to you in a glass bottle or in a...
Plastical 2 ounce.
That's the problem.
Okay.
So find some glass bottles online,
Bring it to them.
or when you're having the touch-up paint mixed,
So I could bring in my own bottle.
yeah, just give them the bottle and say, so if you put it in a glass bottle, it's gonna last a long time because you don't have the off-gassing through that. The other thing is put it in the freezer.
Okay. So same thing as coatings and stuff.
Not all coatings should go in a freezer,
I do fridge.
even that.
Okay.
Because most coatings are humidity cured. When you put them in a fridge or a freezer, what happens is when you pull it out, you get condensation, and you immediately start curing the coating in the bottle. So it's been an industry myth for years, and I'm part of the reason that myth exists, because at the time I was with OptiCoat. And in the syringe, you purge all the air out of it when you're done. Then you put it in the freezer. In a bottle, completely different story.
Yep. The first coating I ever used was gloss coat in the syringe.
Yeah, so yeah, in the syringe, putting it in the freezer was a great thing. Any bottled coating should not go in a fridge or a freezer because you're introducing condensation.
Yep. So the glass is
Yeah, but for the paint touch-up paint to make it last longer, put it in a glass bottle, not a plastic bottle. And when we mixed our paint, we always put 2 BBs in it to help mix. Yeah. Any other questions on what we've covered so far? No? Come on, people. I'm here for questions. Other services that a detailer can offer is a concierge service, meaning you're looking after the customer's car. So if you're in a market where you have high-end cars, some of your customers will appreciate a concierge service, which means you look after their oil changes, you look after storing the car, you look after all these little aspects of the car. They just want to own and drive the car. They don't want nothing else to do with it. And that is something that there's one detailer in Miami that offers a concierge service. That's all he does now. He does detailing if he has to, but he normally farms it out to other people. He's got 20 customers that he looks after their cars, and he makes his living from doing that. So a concierge service is something that is a fun, if you're in a market that can support that. If you're in a larger city, a concierge service is something that's fun. If you have a professional sports team around, they probably already have a concierge service working for them, so you might want to bid against them. But it's something that's a fun thing to do. Everyone here is a detailer, does detailing. Does everyone do ceramic coatings? Okay, so, because ceramic coatings are by far one of our highest profitability things. One thing that a lot of detailers neglect as well is the basic car wash. For us, the basic car wash was our best form of marketing. It gets the customer in the door. It allows you to speak to the customer and to show them what needs to be done on their car. Touch-up, bumper corner, whatever. The trim is faded. There's all sorts of things we can do to that car. And when we have it there, that is something that we now have the customer in front of us. The customer acquisition cost, they're paying us to acquire the customer because they're coming in for a hand car wash. Hand car wash, you can charge more than the car wash down the street, and you don't have to detail the car. This is where a lot of detailers go a little overboard when they do a hand car wash. The hand car wash is literally that. You're doing wheel faces. You're not getting down on your hands and knees doing barrels. You are not cleaning out the wheel wells. You'll maybe give them a quick pressure wash, and you're washing and drying the vehicle. You can add additional services to that, one of them being you're adding a sealant, so a drying aid. And if you're in an area that's cold, in the winter, put on the drying aid anyways. It's going to make your job easier. For those of you that have smaller shops that don't have the room or don't have the flexibility to have a no reservation, just a drop in, come in and have their car done, then you can schedule a day. And there's a lot of shops that I counsel that what they do is they schedule Friday afternoon because people want the car washed for the weekend. So they let it be known to their customer base that if you're a customer here, Friday afternoon, it's first come, first serve, and we will do a hand car wash on your vehicles. That's the only time of the week that we'll do that. And they're full up. And the day that they're not full up, it's not very difficult. That's a great time to clean the shop, organize the shop, do some marketing, or let the employees go home early on a Friday afternoon. There's nothing wrong with that too. They enjoy that. So having that one little day of service, and they know that Friday afternoon, it's going to be an easy afternoon. We're just washing cars. So it takes the stress off everyone. And it gives your customer base a good thing. And if you have a new customer that's never been there, they say, I just want my car. Come on in. Friday afternoon, we'll take you. It's first come, first serve. And you'll be well taken care of. For us, like I said, yes?
Going back to the concierge service, what do people charge for that?
It's an hourly fee. And some charge hourly, some charge a percentage. So let's say you're taking the car for an oil change. The oil change costs $500. You're adding a 20% on top. So, yeah, if you're dealing with Fords and Chevys and Dodges, a concierge service may not be a good thing for you. But if you're dealing with Ferraris and Bentleys and cars like that, then yes, a concierge service is definitely a good thing to look after. One of our students, he actually set up a shop as a storage unit. So he set up racking in a shop, and he stored 30 cars. And that was part of his concierge service because he was in a big metropolitan area. The person that had a 2-car garage but wanted 3 cars or 4 cars, and they wanted the Porsche or the Lamborghini for the weekend, they didn't have the space for it. So he offered them the space, the servicing, everything, All they had to do is say, I want to pick my car up Friday at 3 o'clock, and I'll bring it back Monday at X time. And they got the car down off the rack, ready to go at 3 o'clock. It was clean, ready to go out the door. They charged a cleaning fee every time the car came back in. So it went up on the rack. It wasn't cleaned when they put it on the rack. They get it down from the rack, they clean it for the customer to pick it up. And I think it was $80 he charged every time he moved a car. And if the customer insisted on having the car on the weekend, it was $250. He paid his employee $150 to come in and just get that car down off the rack and put it out the door. The employee didn't mind coming in for half an hour to make $150. And the customer, obviously, they didn't care. So they wanted their toy on Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Money in no time.
Yeah, exactly. You know, a lot of people, very good point, a lot of people have a lot of money, they have no time. And their time, they've evaluated that their time is worth more than their money. So they don't care about spending the money. You know, if you're hiring a lawyer at $500 an hour, that lawyer isn't making $500 an hour. He's got all these overhead costs that go into him or her being a lawyer. But if they're at their office, they're making $500 an hour. If they're not there, they're not making anything. So having someone else look after their car, take it for an oil change, get it washed, whatever, get new tires put on it, they're happy to pay. Other services, I mentioned PDR. That is something that is great farmed out. Tint is another one. In our shops, PDR, PPF, and Tint were all not off-site services. They came to us, but it wasn't in our staff. And that's one way to getting over the hurdle. For us, our PPF installer, he would come in, he would do the car. He knew he had a clean, well-lit, air-conditioned spot to do the job in, so he liked coming to our shop. It was easy for him to do so. He just had to bring the kit, and if he screwed up a piece, guess what? He was the one paying for it, not us. So that, you know, the odd time where he'd screw up a piece, we were well ahead on that job. So there are services you can offer that you don't need to do the service. Interior repair is another one. There's lots of franchises around that do interior repair. One of our most profitable services was bumper repair. We actually set up a paint booth. We were doing full-on, we could paint a whole car if we wanted to. We had a full-on body shop, but we didn't. We did the stuff that the body shops don't want to do. That one little bumper scrape, we wouldn't remove the bumper from the car. We developed a system, and it's very easy to do, but basically developed a system where if you had a scratch the size of a finger, by the time we were done, we had only done the size of a hand. So we would blend in the base coat, the primer, the base coat, the clear coat, took our employee man-hour-wise on a vehicle about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and we were charging $300 to the dealership for that. And the dealerships loved us because their own body shops, they all have their own body shops, but their own body shop, it's like, well, yeah, we can get it in March 3rd, and you know, we have to take the bumper off and then repair the bumper off the car, then put it back on the car, and then we're gonna blend into the fenders and the hood, and it's gonna be $2,000. They just bought a used car that they didn't see the scratch on. If they have to put $2,000 or $1,000 into it, they're in the hole. Whereas for us, we were charging $300 to $400. They were very happy, and a lot of times they got the car back the same day. And time and inventory is money for a dealership. And for the consumer as well. We had one older gentleman that had an issue with knowing where the corners of his car was. We had painted each corner of his car at least twice in 1 year. But he kept coming in. He kept scratching other people's cars. But anyways, but he was happy to do so. And we never took on full-on body work. We just did those simple little repairs. And that's something that's easy to learn. You don't need a lot of equipment. You don't need a huge compressor. Legally, in a lot of places, you don't even need a paint booth. If you're painting under 3 square feet, you don't need a paint booth. There are a lot of people that actually do it in the dealer's lots outside. We didn't go that far, but it's something that's very easy to learn, very easy to do. You don't need a lot of equipment. You don't need a huge compressor. It can be done with a portable compressor, an airbrush, and it's just learning how to do it. So there's a bit of skill involved there. Mixing the paint, very easy to do as well. So it's something that can be learned, and it's something that there's a need for it in a lot of markets. Anybody here do that service?
I wanted to, but never got around to it.
Okay, yeah.
Mostly because my shop was next to a body shop. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to start, if he was a landlord, so I didn't want to start stepping on toes, but I probably should have.
Well, we have body shops sending their cars to us because they didn't want to do it. It's something that for them, it's out of the ordinary. For them, doing a small blow-in on a bumper, they don't know how to do that. They don't want to do that. They have no need or desire to do it.
It's a $300 to $400 repair when their average ticket is $3,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
They don't want to take up the space for that little bit of money.
No. Yeah, but we had it down to a system where our employee would do 3 to 4 of them a day. And he was in his 60s. He wasn't in a rush, and he was having fun. And he's semi-retired right now, and he just rents a shop and keeps doing it. After we sold our shop, he continued on, and he's got enough business to stay alive. So.
You say it's relatively low entry training. How long does it take to get proficient at doing that little bit?
When we trained our franchisees, it was a 2-day training. And if you go to like a Sherwin-Williams store or something like that, they actually have a mini system that they sell for that.
Yeah, it's called Smart Repairs.
Yeah.
If you look up Smart Repairs, most of the U.S. paint manufacturers will put you in a class for a day or
Yeah.
half a day, and they'll teach you how to do it.
Yeah, 100%. There's also, I don't know if they're still around, but there's a company called Premier Paint 2000. They're in Kansas City. They may or may not still be around, but they had a really good touch-up system and the bumper repair system. So it was like a 3-day course. You go there, you learn everything, and you're good to go. Yes, you are going to have the odd issue once in a while with paint matching, but it's very rare, and you just blend out a little further and a little further till it disappears. But if you're colorblind, it may not be the best option for you, because for some reason a lot of detailers are colorblind. But other than that, and actually we did have one of our technicians that was colorblind, and he would just, when he'd mix up the paint, he'd get the customer's approval. It's like, are you okay with this? And the customer said, yep, looks like it matches, good. So no customer ever knew he was colorblind, and he was doing it in a mobile setting. So some of our franchisees were mobile, some were shop-based, and he was doing the bumper repair mobile at the customer's location. So, any other questions? Yes.
Just one quick comment. Just because I learned the hard way a long time ago, we use contractors all the time.
Yeah.
Don't forget to send them a 1099.
No.
Otherwise, you're not going to be happy come tax time.
No, and employees that are working in your shop are not 1099s. If someone is under your supervision as a 1099, they have to be providing their own tools, they have to be providing their own equipment, they have to not only have you as a customer. So if you have someone 40 hours a week in your shop, they are not a 1099. Eventually, the government will come after you. It's not a question if, it's when. So, other things as detailers that we can do, of course, going a little further than interior repair is actually upholstery. That takes a lot more training, a lot more time, but it's something that can be lucrative if you have the right environment for it. And one thing is doing market research. We're in the detailing space. We don't know, or we generally don't know what our competition is outside of detailing. So if you go home and say, I want to get into smart repairs, look up smart repair in your area. You might already have 10 people doing it that you've never heard of, that you don't know exist, and they're fighting it to the bottom of the barrel to see who can be the cheapest. Or you may have no one in your area. And if you have no one in your area, then that's a key to say, might be a good service for here. Same thing with PDR find a good PDR tech. I'm not going to tell you to go out and learn PDR. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of skill, and it takes
It's an art form.
yeah, it's an art form. It's a great way of putting it. Not everyone can be a PDR tech. Or sorry, anyone can be a PDR tech, but not everyone can actually get it done right. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever, if this is not your first time, if this is your first time to MTE, they have a PDR competition on the floor. And if you've never seen PDR being done, that's a very interesting competition to go take a look at. You see just how quickly they can get a dent out of a vehicle. All the work they have to go through and all the, is anybody here, is this their first time to MTE? Okay, so when you're walking around the floor tomorrow, you'll see that half the booths have nothing to do with detailing. They're selling these stainless steel sticks. And there's like 8,000 different shapes, and everyone has their preferred shape. And one PDR tech will say, I can't live without this tool, whereas another guy's never even seen it or heard of it or know what it is. So they all, it's like detailing. We have 6,000 different compounds and waxes. They're the same way. Yeah, those sticks are very expensive, but they make them a lot of money too. And there are some PDR techs. We had one PDR tech that would roll in, and he'd roll in with a trailer, and he'd bring in like 40 different bars and look at it. And we have another one that he carried in 3 in his hand, and he got just about every job done with those 3. Occasionally he'd go back out to his car and get another one. But they have different styles, different ways of working. Just like some detailers, you open the cabinet and they have 80 different waxes and 40 different polishes and every pad ever known to man. And then other ones come in and they just have 1 or 2 polishes and 3 or 4 pads, and they do everything that need to be done. So, the hobbyist mentality versus the professional mentality. So, any other questions?
As far as you mentioned chip repair.
Yeah.
Is there a general rule? Like I know we always said, hey, listen, if you go darker, the human eye doesn't pick up something that's darker than lighter.
Correct.
Did you find that in your own shop?
Yeah, a little darker is good, and also, like I mentioned, having you want to have it concave. You don't want a wart on the surface. If you have that bump, you're always going to see it. If you don't have a bump, your eyes are going to disappear. It's going to disappear from your eyes. And a lot of detailers have the mentality of, I can still see it, as opposed to the customer's mentality of being this far away from the car and, hey, it looks great. So
If they can't pick it out, it didn't exist.
no, exactly. And especially if you're doing cars for dealerships, all they care about is from 5 feet away, what does it look like? Because if it doesn't attract the customer's eye, then it's good. But if something attracts the customer's eye, then it's bad. So that is one of the considerations. Another service that sort of gets really misguided in this industry is wipe-on clear coats. There are some really good products out there, and there are some really bad companies selling okay products. You have legitimate companies that have been around for 20-some years selling wipe-on clear coats. You have some that have been around, but their marketing is such that they're very shady, if I can put it that way. And some of you are snickering in the background. You know exactly who I'm talking about. But anyways, wipe-on clear coat is not something you want to put on a new car. It is not a replacement for a ceramic coating. It is definitely not a replacement for PPF. But what a wipe-on coating can do is, if the car is beyond polishing and it's the last ditch effort before sending it to a body shop, then yes, a wipe-on clear coat has its place. There's probably a couple companies here where they'll have booths. Go talk to them. If they're telling you that it's building X amount on the surface, just walk away. It's not true. There's one company that says they build 6 millimeters on the surface. That's a 1/4 inch. First of all, they don't know what 6 millimeters is. because if they knew that, they'd know that, you couldn't open the door if you put 6 millimeters of product on you'd have to have a half-inch gap between the door to be able to open the door. And even 6 mils is not something that builds on the surface. Your factory paint now is at 3 mils. And they're putting on average 8 ounces of product on the vehicle. If you're painting a car, you're using over a gallon. 8 ounces spread over a car, at most, that's without any solvent evaporation, without any loss, is 15 microns, which is half a mil. So if they don't know their own math on their products, walk away. That's a primary example of they're just trying to get you. But we developed a wipe-on clear coat in our shops. We used some of the established brands, but when they asked us for a franchise fee, we bowed down and designed our own. But a wipe-on clear coat is a viable alternative to detailing. It has its place. Pardon me? It's the last resort before a body shop.
It's the last resort to save an old car, to make the car look decent.
Yeah.
But it is not going to replace anything like you said, ceramics or any of that.
No. And when you do a wipe-on clear coat, you can tell there's a wipe-on clear coat on the car. Scratches are not going to disappear with the wipe-on clear coat. They're going to be subdued, but if you look at it closely, you're still going to see every scratch. From 10 feet away, it's going to look great. It's going to look glossy. It's going to look shiny. But once you get close, some of them, they won't even cover 5,000 grit sanding marks. If you sand the car with 5,000 grit and put the wipe-on clear coat on, you'll still see the 5,000 grit sanding marks. And 5,000 grit sanding mark is like a fast food place toilet paper in terms of roughness. So, any other questions? Yes?
Step out for a call. So that's in conversation, especially in the PDR world, of everybody going with restore effects and
Yeah.
icon rock clear
Yeah.
and all that shit, but I just don't trust, that's a whole different. If I had all wholesale, I'd love to talk to somebody about it. But.
Yeah, so the product, like I say, has its place. How it's sold by some of the companies is definitely not how it should be sold.
What's the longevity? Because I don't know if it's based out of Canada, but that's where they went for all the training.
Yeah.
PDR techs.
Yeah.
What's the longevity of that product? I know they promised the fucking world.
Well, it's all down to preparation. If the vehicle is properly prepped, and by preparation I mean you're sanding at 5,000 grit the whole vehicle, or at least a very heavy compound, and you're swirling the car up to crap. But it's going to cover that. If it's properly prepped, it's going to last as long as repainting the car. If it's not properly prepped, it's going to delaminate, it's going to pull off, it's going to come off in chunks. If someone goes through a touch-free car wash with the high-pressure jets, it's coming off in slabs. So it all comes down to prep. And many installers, they start out, they take the training, and there's, oh, well, look, I missed this spot and it's still stuck. And so they cut their times down by cutting down the prep, because the application of the product is very quick. The product itself is great, to apply. So like I said, we developed our own for our shops because we had numerous shops. So it was worth it for us to have our own, but we sold it to dealerships that the car was going to auction, and there's no way this was going to be saved through polishing. Or it would have taken us longer to polish it than it would to do the wipe-on clear coat. Like the pickup truck that's been in the woods for 5 years and it's all scratched down the side. That's a great candidate for that. The single stage paint that's starting to dull. It's a great candidate for that. Another option is industrial coatings. And industrial coatings on farm equipment, on construction equipment, etc. That's also a great alternative, especially for those of us in the north, because in the winter, farmers don't really use their tractors that much. And farmers have these beautiful shops. A lot of people assume that a farm or farm implements are stored in a barn that has 3 or 4 boards missing and they're covered in hay and crap. No. They have shops that have heated floors, they're white walls, white ceiling, they're lit up like an operating room. Because, detailers freak out. It's like, I'm doing a $300,000 Ferrari. That's a really old tractor that's almost dead for a farmer. 700,000, 800,000, $1 million is nothing for a farmer to put down on a tractor or a combine or something like that. So spending another $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 to have it coated is nothing for them. It's less than 1% of the purchase cost. And with C6, we have an industrial coating. And the way we tell our installers to price it out is find out the price of the equipment, it's 1%. It's that simple. It's not difficult to do. And there are two types of industrial coatings. There's the wipe-on coating, which is suited to a new piece of equipment. Then there's the spray-on coatings. The spray-on coatings, you're looking at a larger investment, but you're also looking at better protection. And you can take a tractor that, everyone knows Case IH, so they start out being red and they end up being pink after a certain number of years, because you cannot put clear coat on a tractor. It's not that the manufacturers are cheap, it's that it's not going to stand up. One of the worst things that you can put on paint is manure. And the tractor that's out there spreading manure in the field, guess what it gets covered in? And it literally eats through the paint if it's clear coat. The paint that they're using on them is very tough, but it fades. So a wipe-on coating on a new product is going to prevent it from fading, and a spray-on is going to take a faded piece and bring it back to like new condition. But when you're doing the spray-on, there are some companies that will, you get a paint pump and you apply it with that. Not the best way of doing it. You're spraying very nasty things, so you need full PPE, meaning the power ventilated mask, no skin left uncovered. And we have, for us, when we do it, we have an inflatable booth. So we inflate the booth inside the farmer's shop, drive a piece of equipment in, and shoot it in there. It's a 33-foot by 15 by 16-foot booth. So we can fit just about anything in there. But it's a very, it takes a day and a half maybe to prep and do the tractor using $800, $900 worth of product, and you're charging them $6,000. So.
Do you recommend an airless spray system, a traditional spray system?
No, we use an HVLP turbine system. A lot of them use an airless, like some use a battery-powered airless. If you like orange peel, it's great. For the system I developed, it's a automotive quality finish, but a little more expensive. But farmers, they really take pride in their equipment. They're happy to pay to protect it. They're happy to pay to make it look better. So, any questions? Because apparently we're getting kicked out soon. No other questions? Yeah.
You'll be around the show tomorrow?
Yes, we'll be walking around the show tomorrow. I've got another class at 3 o'clock on how to increase your efficiency through quality, or quality through efficiency, however you want to look at it. At 3 o'clock, I don't know what room it's in. It's not in this room, but so thank you all for coming.